Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Sun and Moon How-To Competitive. We got ourselves a perfect IV Ditto, we bred ourselves a perfect IV Morlul, and in this episode we are going to train it using the traditional method, but with the new twist of SOS battles. But first, I have to kind of come clean here. This was the original Morlul that we were going to use. Unfortunately, it had Illuminate. The ability Illuminate is not very useful. Actually, it's completely useless in competitive battle. So I had two options. I could spend all of my BP on an ability capsule, or I could breed a new one. And I bred these two new ones with the following EV spreads you see. Now I'm gonna go with the female one here over this one, just because, oh hi, there's a lawnmower outside. Just because, this one has better overall stats, sure, and has better speed, but this one has perfect physical defense, and that's going to be more important for me, just having those couple extra points in defense versus speed. I can always hyper-train the speed later if I really want to, and speed's not a priority here with this nature, so we're going to go with this one. Now, I'm going to break things down step by step, because there's a few different things that you guys need to know. Basically, with EV training, I know in the previous generation we had super training, and it was a little time-consuming, but it was really accessible as far as you could see exactly how many points you were getting in each activity you were doing, so in one way it was really accessible that way. But in this game, the traditional method is the way to go. But now, thanks to the SOS method, it's going to be even easier, and power items have been given a buff, so let's go step by step. So, here with this Morlul, we're gonna bring the Morlul into our party, and the first thing we want to do is give it Pokerus. Now, in order to do this, you need to have a Pokemon with Pokerus, and the way you do that is, quite honestly, completely random. There's no set way to do it. It's apparently, I think it's like rarer than finding a shiny, or about as rare as finding a shiny, to have your Pokemon infected with Pokerus. But you can always trade on the GTS, or find someone to trade with. I got really lucky and just got Pokerus on my Pokemon one time. And yeah, so once you have it, always keep a Pokemon with Pokerus in your PC, because as long as the Pokemon is in your PC, they can't be cured, or they won't be cured of Pokerus while they're in the PC. So if you can see, this Dugtrio has Pokerus. Morlul, of course, has never had Pokerus. And my two Tapus here, Tapu Lele and Tapu Fini, you can see by the little pink smiley thingy that they've had Pokerus and been cured from it. Now, when you're cured from Pokerus, you still get the positive effects of Pokerus, which I'll talk about in a second, but you can no longer spread it. So that's the important thing, why you always want to keep at least one Pokemon with Pokerus in your box. And I have at least these two. I have a couple of them around here somewhere. Some of the ones that I've already EV trained still have Pokerus, so it's good to keep a few of those on hand just in case you accidentally leave one in your party for too long and it gets cured. I think at least one day has to pass with them in your party before you can get cured. But anyway, so we want one that is not cured so we can spread it. If you don't know the effects of Pokerus, basically it means that every EV point you get from defeating a Pokemon will be doubled. Let me back up a little bit more. EV points, EV stands for effort values, and the effort values are basically the experience you get in certain stats from beating certain Pokemon. For example, thinking off the top of my head, Cutiefly is a fast Pokemon, so if you defeat it, you get an extra point in speed. Now, one EV point does not equal one stat point. I believe it's 4 EV points is equal to 1 stat point. So the maximum you can get in any given stat is 252, with a total of 512 points total, I believe it is, that you can get, that you can spread into the different stats total. Let's take a look at the summary here. This is going to be a little bit more in-depth because I have quite a few things to explain. So as you can see, the yellow here is just its natural stats, and then any EVs that it gains will be orange until you've maxed out how many EVs you can possibly have, in which case it'll be blue. And you can't see any maxed out stats here because these were all in-game Pokemon that I used, so they don't have maxed out stats. Let me switch over here real quick. So some of my competitive Pokemon. Take a look at my Mudsdale over here, Braids. So you can see she has max HP, max attack, and some points in defense. Again, the blue part will be orange if you have not used up all the EVs that you can use. Now, once you gain these EVs, you can take them away with certain berries, but I can go over that in a different episode. For now, we're going to focus on gaining the EVs. So again, our first step is to get Pokerus on this Pokemon, and you do that by just going into battles, and it happens randomly. But first, I want to stop right here real quick since I'm already at the Battle Royal counter. This is the person you talk to get the power items. I already have one of each, but there's one for each stat here: attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed, and HP. They're only 16 battle points each, so it's not too bad, especially compared to some of the other items. I would get these as soon as possible if you want to start EV training. They will help a lot. They are going to add 8 points in their dedicated stat to whatever. So let's say you battled a Cutiefly and you had the power anklet on. So instead of getting 1 EV point, you would get the 1 plus 8 more, you would get 9. If you have Pokerus, that gets doubled, so you're getting 18 points. So as you can see now, when we use these different methods, we can start to rack things up quickly. Another thing to note is that this will give you 8 points in their dedicated stat no matter what Pokemon you fought. So let's say you fought Lediba, which gives you 1 point in special defense, but you had the power anklet on, which increases speed. You get 1 point from the Lediba in HP, or in special defense, sorry, and 8 points from the power anklet in speed. And then if you have Pokerus, they're each multiplied by 2, so you get 2 in special defense and 16 in speed. So, first thing we're going to do, the spread I'm going to use on this Morlul, I'm going for a special wall. So for walls, you always want to do max HP and then max in whatever stat is their better defensive stat. So I'm going to do max HP, max special defense, and I'm going to put a little bit into special attack. Now, a better nature to have for this set would be calm, because then instead of the lowered speed, you'd have lower physical attack. So it's not really ideal to have the lower speed when there's a better nature for it. But again, being a wall, it doesn't need to be fast. And I can always, like I said, go back later and fix that. You can't change the nature, but you can change the IVs. But we're going to roll with it for now. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get into a battle, and I'm not going to fight anybody. This is just here to try to spread Pokerus. If a Pokemon without Pokerus in your party is next to a Pokemon in your party that does have Pokerus, after every battle, whether you actually fight the battle or not, there is a chance that the Pokerus will spread. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here. And see, we did one battle. Let's see if Morlul got it yet. It got Pokerus already. Alright, that is excellent. Now, you don't have to enter the battle, but I recommend if you do accidentally decide to battle and knock out the Pokemon, that you make sure the experience share is turned off at that point, because you might be giving the Pokemon you're trying to EV train points in a stat that you don't want it to have. So, let's see. I'm here in the the Ula Ula Meadow, is that what it's called? I'm in the place where you can find Ledian here. That is the main goal, that is the main purpose of being in this spot. So we're gonna train special defense first, so I just need to find where I put it. We're gonna attach, the power band is the item to increase special defense. So we're gonna attach that to Morlul, and of course now, because we are EV training, oh no, that's give item. Since we are EV training, I am going to double check and make sure the experience share is turned on, because otherwise... Alright, it says off, which means that it was on, so we're going to make sure it's on. Because otherwise, the way we're doing this Pokemon's at level 1, we're going to need other Pokemon to train with. We're going to do the SOS chaining method, very similar to what we did when we were chaining for Ditto, except without the recycle switcheroo part. But we're going to do the same SOS chaining, because SOS chaining multiplies the EVs you get by 2 again. So let's use our example. We're going to go after Ledian. Ledian by default gives you 2 special defense EV points. Then we're going to add the power item, plus 8. So we're going to get plus 10 special defense points for every Ledian we knock out. Now multiply that by 2 because of Pokerus. That's 20. Multiply it by 2 again because we're going to be SOS chaining. That is 40. So now, one thing I forgot to mention, we're going to be starting from 0 because I want to show you how relatively simple this can be. But if you have the money or the extra battle points, you can buy vitamins. So for example, if we want to raise Morlo's special defense, we can buy zinc. And you can give a Pokemon up to 10 vitamins in each stat. That will raise its EVs up to 100 in that stat. Once they're at 100, you can't give it any more vitamins. But that is a good way to jumpstart. So instead of having to train 252 in a stat, we're going to train just 152. But now, let me go ahead and do some math for you. If we're getting 40 points per stat, to EV train from 0 to a fully EV trained stat, it will take a chain of 7 from 0. You just need to battle 7. So you can see, I think if you got 100 points from vitamins, it'll take you, 3 or 4. I think it'll only take you 3 Ledian. Now, that number will be a little bit higher. Well, I think it's still 7 if we were doing Lediba, which only gives 1 special defense point. So yeah, it's only a chain of 7. So, 6 or 7. I'm going to do 7 just in case because it gave me 6 and a decimal. So I think we're all set up. Now, I'm going to do this method for special defense starting from 0. For HP, I'm going to go back and I'm going to buy some HP ups. And then we'll see how much faster it is. And we got really lucky, and we ran into a Ledian on our first try. That is really lucky. I'm going to get my timer here. Again, you can just keep track of how many Pokemon you've KO'd based on the PP of your attacking move that you're using. But it doesn't always work that way because I ran into a situation where I had to EV train in defense, and I was training against Roggenrola, and about half of them have Sturdy. And plus, they all use Sand Attack on me to where I had minimum accuracy, and so it took me forever, and it took me several times more uses of moves. So keeping track with the counter is better. I mean, you have to make sure you're paying more attention, but yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and use an Adrenaline Orb. We only have 2 left, so I have to keep that in mind. That's just enough for this video. Okay, so this is going to increase the chances that this Ledian's gonna call for help. And once things get going, we should do pretty well. Now, a Pokemon, I believe, is more likely to call for help the lower its HP is, which is why chaining against lower level Pokemon is usually easier. Oh, this thing's gonna get the Silver One boost. But I like the increased point yield from going against Ledian. So we're gonna get this thing really low, and hopefully it calls for help. Alright, it's gonna call for help. Now help actually has to appear. Now, again, as far as this method being fast, it is fast, but I will add the qualification that to some extent it depends on your luck in the other Pokemon calling for help. But again, the lower you get the opposing Pokemon's health, I think the more likely and the more successful it'll be at calling for help, so just keep that in mind. But you can get Pokemon to call for help, and as little as... I've had them call for help at full HP sometimes, but even if they're at half HP. So Morlo's gonna get a ton of experience. This is the other reason I liked to chain against the higher level Pokemon sometimes, because you're gonna have to get these Pokemon to level 50 if you want to use them competitively. So this gives it a nice little jump start. It does take extra time, but you're kind of doing 2 things in one because you're gonna have to level up this Pokemon anyway. Okay, so that's 1 I need to mark down. So help didn't appear this time. I'm going to just reuse an Adrenaline Orb. Again, this does not consume the Adrenaline Orb. I know in the last, well, when I did chaining for Ditto, I was using an antidote, but you can reuse the Adrenaline Orb as many times as you want to, because they don't stack, so it'll just say it failed and it won't actually use up the item. So now this Ledian is being pretty annoying here by not really calling for help. So we're gonna have to Nature's Madness again. Now I want to be careful with Nature's Madness because I got in a situation against a very low level Pokemon where I used Nature's Madness. I must have used it to the point where they had 1 HP, but I didn't realize it, so I used it again and I actually ended up KOing the Pokemon, which is really weird. I don't think it's supposed to work that way. But I guess what happened is, I'm assuming that the move calculated using integer division. And what integer division is, basically, you do division and you leave off the remainder. So, for example, 1 divided by 2, or half of 1, is 1/2, which is less than 1. So if you're doing the division, that's 0.5. It cuts off the 0.5 and it's just 0. So really, this Ledian is not being a friend to me. You are not making for good videos here. You are not helping me at all. And I'm afraid to use it again. I'm afraid to use Nature's Madness again, because I don't know if you're at 1 HP or not. Come on. Alright, there we go. There's the Ledian again. So this is going to be Ledian number 2. No, I used the Adrenaline Orb because I was caught in spamming A. Okay, let's try this again. We're going to KO Ledian number 2. Alright, let's see. Will this thing call for help again? We're at 2. Okay, gonna call for help. Now is help gonna show up? No. So again, this is the case to be made for training against Ledyba. Because I do think the lower level Pokemon call for help more often. I don't know if there's an actual, like, science to that, but that does seem to be the case. But sometimes it's just a matter of luck, because again, it's all odds. Just like, just about everything in Pokemon, everything is a game of odds. But look at this, we're already about halfway to maximizing our Morlul special defense. Now, unfortunately, there's not a good way to check while you're in battle, because you can't see the full summary screen of your Pokemon while you're in battle. I'm wondering how to get so fast. It only got 1 Ancient Power boost. Interesting. I guess I must be pretty slow. Mega Drain. Sure, even though we're not going to use it on our final set, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so Ledyba's going to try to call for help again. Let's see if it shows up. Of course it doesn't. But we are... Again, we are about halfway there now. The only thing I'm concerned about is whether this thing is going to run out of PP. But I don't think so. I think it has plenty of whatever Comic Punches left. Okay, we're gonna get Ledian number 4. So we're gonna go ahead and KO that one. And really, we just need to find 2 more. Well, again, it's 6 point something, but I think we need to KO 7 of them. Just to be sure, because again, integer division. Okay, so that's 4 of them. We need for it to call 2 more in, and then we can just KO the original one. So again, takes a little bit of time, but remember, you are knocking this down to 3 if you use all of the vitamins that you can. Call for help, Ledian. This is actually good, though. I'm glad that I did this from 0, because then I will spend the money and get all of the vitamin items and show you how much of a difference it makes. I'm getting some kind of weird message here, too. About... I don't know, I just got some... Consider turning down video settings or using a faster encoding preset. I don't know how to do that. At least, I don't think I can do it while recording. Well, we're gonna keep this video going and hope for the best. Hopefully, if the recording crashes, I'll just try to pick it up from where it left off. But alright, we're gonna use Extrasensory on our 5th Ledian here. And all it needs to do is call for 1 more, and then we'll KO the original Ledian, and then KO the last Ledian, and that will be it. Okay, let's see if we can get lucky here. No. Of course not. Gotta make things difficult, don't you? Gonna call for help again. Alright, now it's worth noting, if you want to train against Ledian, they are only here during the day. You can only find them in the wild during the day. So now we're going to knock out the original Ledian to minimize the chance that we'll continue the SOS chain. Because in this case, we want it to be done. We're going to KO this one. And then we'll KO the other one, and we will be good to go. You will see the magic. Again, even this, if you compare training someone to max EVs, like in any previous generation, if you use the traditional method, it would take a whole lot longer because the power items weren't as strong, and you didn't have the SOS chaining benefit. So anyway, that is going to be KO number 7, and we're going to go ahead and check on our Morlul. And if you want to go check its EVs, go into the summary and press Y. You can see the little sparkle around special defense. That means that we have indeed maxed out special defense after just 7 KOs. Remember, with vitamins, that will be only 3. So let's go ahead and let's see, where is here's the HP one. We're just gonna put it on there. And just for kicks, I'm going to go and grab this nectar here. Alright, so now for HP, I am going to show you the other method. Well, it's the same method, but I'm going to show you now what would happen if we actually maxed out the vitamin stats. So if we buy 10 HP ups and use them all, I'll show you what will happen. Now, the vitamin items got a little bit more expensive. Instead of 9,800 Poké Dollars, they're something like they're 10,000, I think. So they're a bit more expensive. Right now I can afford to buy 10 of them, but just so you know, another option, you can buy vitamins in the Battle Royal area. The person I was talking to get the power items, the one all the way over to the left, that one sells the vitamins, and you can get them for only 2 BP each. So that's pretty good. Your other option, though, is to go to Mount Hokulani. That is where you can buy these vitamins. And for you guys, I'm gonna spend a huge chunk of my money and buy these HP ups. So let's go ahead and do it. If I have any other vitamins, no, I don't. I guess I would have liked to have bought 11 so I could show you that only 10 of them work. Now, it's worth noting that Pokerust does not affect your EV gains. Pokerust does not affect your EV gains from vitamins. It only affects your EV gains through battles. Okay. So now, we have a choice here, because as far as finding Pokemon that give 2 HP EVs, I'm not sure off the top of my head. We're gonna go for the Pokemon that I know we can get, which is either a Munchlax or a Caterpie. They only give 1 HP EV. But you're gonna see, I think you can still max out after like 4. So we're gonna go over here to Route 1. I'm gonna do the actual calculation here just to be sure. So we know we get 36. If the Pokemon that you're fighting gives 1 EV point, we know you get 36 per battle in an SOS battle. And let's see, if we have 252, of course we minus 100, so we only have 152 to get. And if we divide it by 36, that is 4. So yeah, it's 4.2, but I'm going to test it out and see about that whole integer division thing. I'm going to see if it's 4 or 5. I believe it's 4 to max HP stat. Alright, so we're going to break through the rocks here because this is the area where we can find Munchlax. Now, Munchlax are fairly uncommon, so we'll see. If we find a Caterpie, I'll just take the Caterpie, because Caterpie also, not Metapod, though. Do not fight Metapod. Metapod gives you, I think, 1 EV in each defensive stat, defense and special defense. So you want to be careful when if you choose to SOS chain Caterpie because they're more common, it might call on a Metapod. So what you'll want to do is just KO the Caterpie and run from the battle, and then start over again with a new chain. Now, I just want to check real quick. because as I'm talking, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I want to make sure that we got the correct item, and we're all set. Okay, so we're gonna hopefully go for Munchlax. Munchlax would be better because they can call help for Happiny, and both Happiny and Munchlax give 1 HP EV per one you defeat. So we're gonna hope for that. But if we find a Caterpie, we're just gonna deal with it. Because we only need a chain of 4. We're gonna try 4. And if it's not maxed out, then you have to round up. I believe you only have to round down and only go for 4. But now if you could find a Pokemon that gives out 2 EVs in that stat, it'll only take 3. We're also gonna see, hopefully, okay, here's a Caterpie. We'll use the Caterpie. Hopefully you're also going to see demonstrated here how it's easier to initiate an SOS battle with a lower level Pokemon. At least that's my experience. It might not be actually programmed in the game, but I think it has to do with the fact that the lower level Pokemon just have lower HP by default, and so they're quicker to call for help. We'll see. Again, it's all down to luck, so we may get lucky, or we may have a rough time of it like we did with the Ledian. So still not calling for help. We're going to use our last Adrenaline Orb. So now from now on to kill turns, we're going to have to go with our Antidote, and I'll have to remember to buy more of those later. Okay, Caterpie is calling for help. And we get one. So this is 1 of 4. Let's do that. Okay, that's 1. Let's see if we can get it to call for help again. It's gonna call for help again. So yeah, I do believe you have a higher success rate with lower level Pokemon because their HP is lower. And we're gonna get one again, so this is 2 of 4. Two of 4. So you're gonna see that actually step 1 in our guide of chaining the Ditto is actually the most difficult part. And when I say difficult, that one's actually really simple, but it takes the longest out of anything in this guide. At least so far. We'll do, like, you still have to consider that after you're done with this, you have to finish leveling your Pokemon to level 50, which there are various ways to do that, but there's not really, like, finessing to that. So we're gonna get another Caterpie again. So now we're gonna KO the original Caterpie, just to minimize the chance that we continue the chain. And I'm gonna check and see if we round down or round up with our stats here. Okay, and this will be KO number 4. All right. So now let's check and make sure that we did in fact max out the stat. This will be so I know once and for all as well. So we're gonna go here and press Y. Yeah, we're not quite at full yet, so that means we are gonna have to KO one more Caterpie. The thing is, we're gonna have to get into an SOS battle again. So that was kind of my bad on there, but you can see that actually finding the Caterpie, or I should say initiating an SOS chain with the Caterpie, is not bad at all. And we're gonna get a Munchlax, which is great because this is also a Pokemon that you can train for HP. I'm gonna get this into an SOS battle. Even though I only need to KO one more, that's one more that I need to KO with SOS EVs. If I KO this thing and it's not an SOS battle yet, I'm not gonna get enough EVs. So I need to have that ×2 multiplier again. The only thing is I'm out of Adrenaline Orbs. And this thing has leftovers. That's the other annoying thing I will say about trying to EV train on Munchlax, is because of the leftovers. If it has leftovers, I would suggest use Thief to get rid of it. But Thief on a low-level Pokemon, of course, so you don't KO the thing. So this is gonna lengthen things a little bit. But I did want to perform a little experiment there because, again, when you get 4 and a decimal, I didn't know if we had to round up or round down. I usually round up to be safe, but I wanted to find out for sure in this case because I hadn't tested it out yet. Like I said, the only problem is we're going to have to do this without an Adrenaline Orb because I did use my last one. But stay tuned. because after this I'm going to just say a few words about movesets and level grinding and all that good stuff. Let me actually do some math here real quick, as long as we're waiting. So if we have 36 and I fought 4 of them, that's 144. So we need 152. So really, if we KO'd one of them, that would have been 18. We don't need this thing we don't need this thing to be SOS, I don't think. I'm gonna experiment again. I believe we don't need to do SOS to max out from here. We're doing more experimentation here on How to Competitive. Like I said, this is a series where I'm teaching you guys, but we're all learning at the same time. All right, let's check now. All right, yep, and we maxed it out. Okay, so just do a chain of 5 or a chain of 3 if you manage to find a Pokemon that gives 2 HP EVs. The only thing is, I don't know which Pokemon give out 2 HP EVs, but I know you can get Ribombee for 2 speed and Ledian for 2 special defense. So actually fairly easy when you consider just how many stat points you're trying to gain. So now the last thing we want to do is round off the remaining points in special attack. And now we could go into Melee Meadow and fight Oricorio for it, but generally what I like to do is whatever area I'm in, I like to find the Pokemon that I've already been fighting and just battle that one. So for example, if we find another Caterpie or Munchlax, we knock it out and we're gonna get, it would normally give us HP points, but we're maxed out in HP, so we don't have to worry about that. And a Ledian, or a Lediba actually, gives us special attack, so we can KO this one too, because it's not gonna matter. We're already maxed out, so we're not gonna get anything from that, but we're still going to get the +8 in special attack. So I think that's an easier way. As long as you make sure you're running into a Pokemon that is giving you points in a stat that you already have. If we found a Yungoos or a Pikipek, we wouldn't want to fight that because we don't want to risk anything going into attack. Alright, so that should be it, and we should be all done here. Let's confirm. It's blue, and that means we have a fully EV-trained Pokemon. Congratulations, if you've been following along. Okay, so now, actually, the one thing I want to discuss is moveset for this thing. We will want to train it to level 50, because that is the standard for competitive battles. And we want, the recommended movesets for this thing is you definitely want Spore, because it is a 100% accurate move that puts Pokemon to sleep. It's worth noting that, of course, any Pokemon with Insomnia is immune, and Grass-type Pokemon are immune to any Spore sort moves. You also want either Strength Sap or Moonlight. Strength Sap is a really cool move. I don't remember whether it takes from your opponent's attack or special attack, but basically it takes from their offensive stats and restores HP to you. So that's a pretty cool move. It's a good way to recover and debuff at the same time. I would run that over Moonlight, honestly, but you can run either one. There's another option to run Leech Seed for more recovery. That is an egg move, and I, of course, did not breed this Morlul with Leech Seed, but you can get it from, like, Pokemon that you can find in this game. You can get it from Execute, Cottony, Phantump, and breed it with the Morlul to get a Morlul with that egg move. I might add egg moves to another episode. But then for an offensive move slot, you want Moonlight, or not Moonlight, Moon Blast, Giga Drain, and or Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is TM36. You find it in the Shady House in Po Town. You've most likely found it if you played through the game. And all the other moves, besides Leech Seed and Sludge Bomb, all the other moves I mentioned, it does learn through level up. It learns Spore at level 40, Strength Up level 35, Moonlight at level 11, I guess. So that would actually be a move reminder, I think, that you have to do. I don't know what level Morlul learns it at. But if you're already past that level and it doesn't have it, then you can always go, oh, mine does have Moonlight. What am I saying? Mine has Moonlight. Okay, so I did learn it at level 11. I am not attentive here. Okay, but you can learn Moonlight at level 11, Strength Up level 35, actually Giga Drain at level 31, and this is after evolving. Spore level 40, Moonblast level 44. So really all these moves you learn on the way to reaching level 50. But let's say it had a move that it didn't learn until level 55 or level 60 or something crazy like that. You can go to the move relearner, and in spite of being called the move relearner, in this generation, she can actually make your Pokemon remember moves that it hasn't even learned yet. So we're gonna go to the Pokemon League Pokemon Center on top of Mount Lanakila, and I'm gonna show you. Now, if you want to go, now you need to get heart scales for this. Now you can find heart scales as hidden items around a lot of beaches and stuff like that, but you can also find them if you go into the, I believe it's the Sushi High Roller in, what's the name of that town? The town, Melee City, the one in the first town you get into on Ula Ula Island, or I think it's called Koni City. On Akala Island, they have restaurants there, and yeah, you just buy anything and you get heart scales. Now, apparently, if you've beaten the Kahuna of those islands and you buy the most expensive thing, what I've heard, I haven't found this yet, the Kahuna will pay for your meal and then you'll get the heart scales. I think you get a bonus of heart scales. So anyway, as you can see, at some point, like these two moves are moves that it already learned. So those would be move reminding moves. But now these are all moves that it learns at some point in the future. So let's say you wanted to learn Spotlight for whatever reason, and you don't learn it until level 53. You're like, I only want to train my Pokemon to level 50. You can just go ahead and use the move reminder. Now in this case, I'd rather save heart skills since I'm going to have to get it to level 50 anyway, so I'm just going to train it up. A good way to train for levels, if you have a team of really strong Pokemon and only 1 or 2 Pokemon you want to level up, I'd add them onto your team and beat the Elite Four a bunch of times. That's decent. I've mainly just trained on the Pony Gauntlet area, and apparently if you do SOS chaining with Beware, you get a lot of experience, but chaining with Beware is a bit annoying, so I would beware if you're going to choose that method. So anyway, let me just quite quickly here go over the places that you can go to get heart scales if you want them. We're gonna go over here. Or is it Mali? I keep saying Melee. I think it's Mali City. I got confused which letter the I came after. So yeah, sorry, we're adding a little bit of length onto this episode, but I want to tie up a few loose ends here with the EV training, because these are things that I don't think could fit into their own episode. I'm just gonna tie them on over here. If you're, if you gotten all you need from this, then that's fine. So I think I believe this is the sushi place? Yeah. So now let me test the theory. If I buy the most expensive thing, it doesn't matter what you buy though, you're gonna get, actually everything is the same, so I don't know how that works. Not many young girls like it. Okay, whatever. Oh yeah, here we go. So Nanu's gonna come here, and he is gonna buy our food for us. So it's not really the most expensive item because they all cost the same, but it is the last item on the menu. Now, I believe you can buy the meals as many times as you want in a day, but I think this event where you get your meal paid for only happens once a day. So keep that in mind. You can buy heart scales all you want, but I believe this only happens once a day. We're gonna get 8 heart scales. Normally you get 4 if you purchase from here. So we're gonna go over to Akala Island and try the same thing. On Akala Island in Koni City, if you buy a thing there, you get 2 heart scales, and it's actually a better value than the 4,000 you have to spend on 4 heart scales. But again, in this case, if you're getting them for free, it's no big deal. So we're gonna go over here to the restaurant, and we're gonna try it again. We're gonna order the last thing on the list and see if we get our meal paid for. Again, I'm pretty sure this is 1 a day. Yeah, let's see. Yep, and here comes Olivia. She's gonna go ahead and buy our meal for us. This is a pretty cool little feature, and we get to have some yummy food. Man, I'm hungry. I wish I could have my own food now. La 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 la. So yeah, you can do this. And again, if you don't mind buying the heart scales, you can buy them as many times as you want. We get 4, and again, normally we get 2 from here. Now, I think there's one more location where there's a restaurant. I think someone said it's on Pony Island in Seafolk Village. I myself have not found it yet. This doesn't say there's a restaurant, so I don't know. I don't know about that. So I'm not really gonna worry about it. You guys can look that one up. But that's an example of how things go. I'm just gonna fly here to heal my Pokemon and finish things off. So guys, that's gonna do it for the core of our How to Competitive series. This does not mean the series is over, because when I get some Pokemon at level 100, I'll do a hyper training guide, and I can also explain about resetting EVs and things like that. I can talk about movesets for certain Pokemon and builds. But that's gonna do, I guess the only thing left is to give a nickname to this Pokemon, and how about, let me deposit this Dugtrio also. Why don't you guys, as a comment, in addition to letting me know what else you'd like to see covered on How to Competitive, why don't you go ahead and give me a nice little nickname suggestion for this Morlul as I train it up to level 50 to be a Shiinotic. Let's go ahead and take the Power Lens. We're gonna also be giving the Lucky Egg to this Pokemon, of course, because that'll boost his experience. Also, you can give it a Rainbow Bean, I think, in Pokemon Refresh to also make a game-boosted experience. I'm not sure if it stacks with Lucky Egg, but I'm pretty sure it does. Anyway, so, if you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. Also, comment, let me know what you think I should nickname Morlul, and also, let me know what else you'd like me to cover in this How to Competitive series. Like I said, resetting EVs, hyper training, anything else, moveset recommendations or EV recommendations for certain Pokemon, anything at all, and I will do my best. With that being said, guys, if you've not already subscribed, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend if they also want to get into competitive Pokemon. And with that, I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.